coming, Angie. I'm coming. Okay, good morning. It is morning. It's early morning. We were running late, but we're here. We showed up. We had a little technical difficulty, so my buddy Angie is out there trying to get on and see the show. Lydia can see us, Angie, so I don't know what your problem is. But listen, good morning, my people. This is Daron Campbell. Who am I? What is this? This is the Road to a Million show. I'm inside of the Rollout Show studios. This is the Road to a Million show. I'm Daron Campbell. I'm your real estate mentor, and we're here to learn, to expand, to grow, to try to get better in some things. This show is all about growing your brain, improving your body, and blessing your bank account. Well, I never even said that before. This is about your brain, your body, and your bank account. And we'll try to tackle a little segment of each of those departments every time we come on board. But this is our new format. This is our new platform. This is our new studio. And as you can see, we've graduated. We're getting a little better. No longer are we standing in my living room with the camera on top of my bar, with the computer on top of two cardboard boxes, with me standing there talking to you guys, getting varicose veins from standing there talking. I actually got a studio. My man Speedy put me on and said, "Hey, DC, you want your own show, don't you?" I go, "Heck yeah, I want my own show." He says, "Look, let's make this happen." So Speedy comes on every day, 11-ish till 3-ish. And he gave me the studio from 8 to 10 Tuesday and Thursday, 8 to 10 every Tuesday and Thursday. So we changed the platform. We changed the format of the Road to a Million show from every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9:30-ish. And now we are simply Tuesday and Thursday, 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, I know Speedy's got this giant Midwest and East Coast audience. And they watch, whether they watch it live or they watch the feed later or whether they watch the YouTube thing. The fact of the matter is, this man's got an audience that can help us all, get the word out and get the camaraderie out and let the tribe kind of get kind of expand. Our tribe is going national, ladies and gentlemen. That's the long and the short of it. Our little tribe is about to become a much bigger tribe. And if you share it, if you like it, if you boost it, if you talk about it, you help us out. We all get better. We all grow. And the more the audience grows, the more pressure is on me to be good. How about that? So if you expand, help the show expand, then you help me improve, because I got to get better, because I can't let down 1,000 people. I can't let down 10,000 people. I certainly can't let down 1 million people. And I promised Speedy that we're going to get to 1 million people before long. So you guys can help us do it. Like us, boost us, share us, tell your friends all about us, and say, hey, like they used to say a long time ago, if you're not careful, you might learn something. And I like that idea. Today I'm going to get into wealth principles. So the theme of the show today is wealth principles. But that's just how we're going to start the show. I'm totally interested in the things you guys are interested in knowing and learning that I might be able to help you with. That my objective is for all of us to improve our brains, our bodies, and our bank accounts. Now, those things sometimes overlap, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we are neglecting one over the other and favoring one over the other. And the truth of the matter is you need to be in balance. And so I think you need to spend a little bit of time, in my opinion, a little bit of time every day on each. And if you do that, I think you might find down the road that you've balanced your success equation. It's balanced. And I think balance is going to be key to your long-term happiness. Does that make sense? Because if you're out of balance, then any one of those things that's not performing at its optimal level is going to kind of make you miserable. If you're not growing in each of those departments, you're going to be upset. You're not going to be happy with your results. So we're here to try to help you improve in all three directions. Today, we're going to launch the show with some wealth principles. And these wealth principles are, there's nothing new under the sun. So I have probably about 15 mentors, and 10 of them don't know they're my mentors, but I definitely got at least 15 mentors. And so I take the ideas and the simple wisdom that they give me, and I share it with you. And then some of those I put my own little twist on. Some of them are actually original thoughts that evolved from something somebody else taught me. But almost nothing I talk about is completely original. There are masters of old that I have borrowed concepts from, and there are people that I think are the wisest people that have ever walked this planet, and I read them. You guys that know me know I'm a book junkie. I read 2 or 3 books a month, sometimes 4 if I'm out of control. But these books, I get little pearls of wisdom from each of these books. I'll share my book list, my favorite book list with you guys, because I think, in my mind, I think you got to always be expanding your base of knowledge. And many of us go to school. We went to school. We got through high school. Maybe we got through college. Maybe we even got a graduate degree. But I don't think the learning should stop there. I think you should constantly be educating yourself in whatever department you like. But all 3 of those facets are worth continuing to learn about, right? Your brain, your body, and your bank account. They're worth growing on a daily basis, don't you think? So don't ever quit. Don't ever stop that education. Don't ever retire from learning. And okay, so let's talk about the core of what I like to talk about. You guys know, well, some of you know, the rest of you are about to know, my background is in real estate primarily. And I've sold a lot of real estate. I have bought and flipped some real estate, and I even teach real estate agents how to get better at what they do. So between all of those experiences, 27 years of them to be exact, I have learned some things that I think are worth passing on. So in this show, that's 8 to 10, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll be talking about some things that will help you grow your personal wealth. I might even sprinkle in some things that might help you in your professional endeavors, because I know quite a few real estate professionals tune in and listen to me. And so I drop some tips that might actually help you even if you're not in the real estate business with that kind of thing, because I think we're all in sales. I teach sales, I teach salesmanship, and whether you make money selling directly or not, you're still in sales. You may not know it, but you're still in sales. Everything you do is a sales job. If you go on an interview, what are you doing essentially in that interview? You're trying to sell yourself to that decision maker, to that employer, to that HR exec, and convince them to hire you, right? That's sales, ladies and gentlemen. Like it or not, you're selling. And, when you go home tonight and try to convince your husband that you'd rather go out for steak as opposed to get a Popeye's chicken sandwich, that's selling. You got to go sell him on that idea. So we're always selling. Your kids are always selling you. You want to see some sales, some hardcore, nonstop sales? Talk to a 3-year-old who's in need of some candy or a snack. They will sell you like nobody's business. And the fact of the matter is, that's actually a good thing, because every time I go to the market and someone's outside like selling Girl Scout cookies or whatever, they're raising money for their team or what have you, I don't buy anything until they sell it to me. So I go to the little kid. I go, okay, convince me to buy that candy bar. Sell it to me. And really, the fact is, I'm just giving them, helping them work on their skills, because I think sales is the most important attribute that you can develop as it relates to business. So you're always selling. Remember that. So I'm going to be teaching you some salesmanship, some sales skills. But today we are launching with what I call wealth principles. wealth principles. Okay, so that's kind of a big global topic. Daron, what is a wealth principle? Well, wealth principles are things that dictate and or drive your eventual wealth or lack thereof. There's two sides of that coin. There's wealth and then there's lack of wealth. And depending on what your principles are, which means how you think and thus how you operate, then your wealth is determined. Did you get that? Your wealth is determined by first your thoughts and then your actions as a result of those thoughts. And then the result is your wealth or your lack thereof. Now, sometimes we can't be blamed for our shallow thoughts because we haven't been taught. But that's why I encourage read. Seek knowledge and you'll get better. And that's why I say watch us every Tuesday and Thursday, because we're going to be trying to help you expand your base of knowledge. And with the guests that we're going to be bringing on the show, we're going to try to teach you things that you might not have otherwise learned. We're going to try to teach you things that some people are talking about at the dinner table that maybe you didn't talk about at the dinner table as a kid. We're going to try to teach you some things that maybe will rewrite what my friend T. Harv Eker calls your money blueprint. See, a lot of us have what I call a faulty or a defective, that's a better word, a defective money blueprint. Now, what does that mean, Daron? Okay, well, first let's start with this. Your money blueprint is your mindset and your makeup about money and about how it affects you and how you use it, how you deal with it, how you accumulate it, and ultimately how you spend or save it. So many of us have this money blueprint that's defective. Why do I call it defective? Because a lot of times our parents didn't teach us the finer principles, the finer points about money, about how to manage it, about how to preserve it. And oh boy, here's the big one, about how to grow it. Whoa, how many of us went home every night and we talked more about consuming than we talked about growing? You know, many of us were brought up in these consumption households. You know, it was all about how many pairs of shoes we could buy, how many pairs of Jordans do you have? Or if it was a female thing, you know, how many purses or bags do you have? And in a defective money blueprint, that's how you measure your success and your wealth. That's a defective money blueprint. See, what I want to do is I want to help you strip that away and learn to have a better money blueprint. Now, what's a better money blueprint? A better money blueprint is one that teaches you how to, 1, accumulate wealth, 2, preserve that wealth, 3, here's a good one, put that wealth on autopilot so that it grows while you sleep. That's why I believe in and I preach the sermon of income property, because I think income property is kind of one of the most basic, simplistic, and almost very close to surefire ways to put a successful money mechanism into your life. Now, many of us, me being one of those people, grew up in a household where accumulation and automation of wealth was not the main topic. Now, that's not your fault. So I'm not blaming you. I might not even blame your parents, because maybe it wasn't their fault either. But I'm here to tell you that it's a pattern, it's a system, it's a pattern, it's a thought process that we should interrupt right now. Let's interrupt that thought pattern. If my man Nick had like some kind of lightning bolt striking sound, I'd make him hit the button right now. Here we go, lightning, because we need to interrupt that pattern, ladies and gentlemen. We need to change the way we think, and as a result, the way our children think about money. Excuse me. This is important, because this is what makes the difference between what we call legacy wealth versus no wealth. Legacy wealth is that situation where when you pass along, your children inherit wealth that you've accumulated over the years. And it's not just, let's go deeper. It's not just you inheriting a car and a house. It's really not that. It's deeper than that. Legacy wealth is not just what comes in a will. Legacy wealth is something that you get that continues to perpetuate itself. You see, I'm trying to teach you to go one level deeper. I know a lot of us are fortunate enough to have parents who bought something. You know, many of our parents, baby boomers, got into home ownership. After the wars were over, then home ownership became this big thing. The American dream started to kick in. And that's great because many of us, you know, got into the American dream and we adopted the American dream as, hey, go out, get gainfully employed, get a good job, graduate through that job, stay on that job, earn a pension, own a home, boom. That was the American dream. But the American dream is flawed, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody didn't finish telling us the story about the American dream. If the American dream stops at the ownership of the home you live in or the home your parents lived in, then somebody didn't finish the story. There's a continuum of the American dream, and it's not just home ownership. I want to strike that one down. I want to say incomplete lesson. The lesson's not complete at home ownership. Now, a lot of us are fortunate enough that our parents owned a home. You know, I'm a real estate agent, and I have helped many people who inherited mom and dad's home to either liquidate that home and go do something else or buy a bigger home or refinance that home or fix up that home and make it more valuable. A lot of that goes on, and many of us were blessed with parents who were money wise enough to save up and purchase some real estate. However, the lesson isn't complete at home ownership. As a matter of fact, I might even say home ownership is not the first step in the creation of legacy wealth. Uh-oh, I just messed up some of your breakfasts because you think owning a home is the greatest thing you could ever do. I'm sorry, it's not. Owning a home is a good thing. Don't let me tell you it's a bad thing. But let me tell you something else. There are assets that you can own that can actually pay for your home. There are assets. You see, okay, can we stop for a second? Asset. Let's define what an asset is, ladies and gentlemen. An asset is something that accumulates value and also pays you during the accumulation of that value. So your home, I'm going to rock your world with this one. Your home is not an asset while you live in it. Uh-oh, where's Nick with the lightning again? Boom, lightning strike, thunderbolt. Your home is not an asset while you live in it. Why is that, Daron? Are you crazy? I mean, you guys are going to go call me all kinds of names from this one. But the fact is, your home is not an asset while you live in it because you are consuming it while you live in it. It's not paying you a check at the end of the month. Now, if you have a guest unit or what they call an ADU, an additional dwelling unit, where you can rent that out in a back house, a guest house, okay, then it's not quite a completely consumable item. You're not consuming all of it. You're making a little bit from somebody paying you rent. But the fact of the matter is, an asset is something that you don't consume. An asset is something that grows on your behalf. An asset is something that pays you at the end of the month. An asset is something that improves your position on an ongoing basis as opposed to detracting from it. So while you live in your house and you pay that mortgage, you are consuming that house. Therefore, it is a liability while you live in it. Oh, man, did I just give a bunch of people indigestion while they were trying to eat their eggs and drink their coffee? They were like, wait a minute. I thought my house was the greatest thing I could ever own. I thought my house was the greatest asset ever. Sorry, it's not. Okay, then Daron, what is an asset? Let's start talking about what assets are. I tell you guys that I believe in income-producing property. That, ladies and gentlemen, is an asset. What is the most basic of those? An apartment building, a duplex, a triplex, a quadruplex, a 5+ unit apartment building. Any of those things that, here's a key, that collects more income than it costs you in mortgage, expenses, interest, taxes, and insurance. So that property in order to become classified as an asset, needs to collect more than you spend to own it. Okay, a lot of people don't know that math. A lot of people don't know that equation, but I'm here to tell you, let's redefine the word asset. I don't know if many of you have dug into what asset really is. An asset isn't just having your name on the title to a piece of property. That's called a privilege or an honor. But the fact is, it's not the greatest honor in the world. You own that home, you pay for that home, it doesn't pay you back until you sell it, maybe. If you want to own assets, let's talk about how you can own assets that pay you. They pay for themselves, and then they pay you the residual on the top. Now, let's explain. What does that mean? So let's assume you could buy a fourplex. And many times you can buy a fourplex cheaper than you could buy a house, or easier than you can buy a house of the same price. I'll explain that later. I'll give you some examples of that later. But let's just say you got a fourplex and you can buy that fourplex for $500,000. And let's just say that the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, the maintenance, the repairs will cost you $3,000 a month. But that fourplex can rent for $1,000 per unit, which means that it collects $4,000 a month. Let's recap. We just said it costs you $3,500 a month to own it, but it collects $4,000 a month in rent. Quiz, here's a pop quiz. Is that an asset or a liability? Yes, if you guess asset, you are correct. That means it collects $500 more than it costs you to own it. $4,000 in, $3,500 out. The last $500 goes where? Into your pocket, into your bank account. That, ladies and gentlemen, is an asset. Your home typically does not function that way, which is why some gurus out there are finally coming around and explaining to you that just owning real estate for the sake of owning it is not asset building. Asset building is when you can buy something and you can make money on it while you own it, and then hopefully make even greater money when and if you sell it. But the key to an asset, let me tell you why an asset's important. An asset's important because, one, it makes more money than it costs. Now, why is that huge in your life? It's because if things go wrong, if for some reason you can't pay, you don't make enough money to pay your rent, or you don't have enough money on you to pay your car note, or something crazy happens and your job goes sideways. Anybody believe that a job can be lost in this society? Yeah. If you listen to our last show, we talked about the last recession in which 8 million jobs were eliminated. Well, I got a hint for you. Recessions come in cycles, ladies and gentlemen. And it's been 11 years since we had one. Warning shot. That's a warning shot. If I had a sound effect thing, it would be a shot going pew across the bow. That's a warning shot. Recession may be on the way. We'll talk about that some more later. So, asset makes money every month. There's more money at the end of the month than the amount of bills and payments it took to own that property. You make more than you spend. It's an asset. If your job went sideways, if something went wrong in your life, this thing wouldn't choke you out because it makes more than you spend to own it. That is a big fundamental principle, and that's what we're here to drop on you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Road to $1 Million show. I'm Daron Campbell. I'm your real estate mentor. I'm the hardest working man in real estate, which is what qualifies me to talk to you about this kind of stuff. This is year number 27 for me. I've closed $4 billion worth of transactions, so I've learned a few things, good and bad. I've learned a few things, what to do and definitely what not to do, and I'm trying to share that with you. My man Speedy put me on and said, hey, Daron, go drop a little knowledge on these folks. Let's teach them some stuff, and that's what I'm here to do. So I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, your real estate mentor. This is the Road to $1 Million show inside of the Rollout Show studios. We're going to take a quick break, and I will be back to drop some more wisdom on you in 5.
Can't you love when I know who gets your love? Bellow on the beat. Who gets your love? Who gets your love? Gets your love when I know who gets your love. Who gets your love?
Here we come. Here we come. All right. All right. We're back. We're back. Here we are, back on the road to $1 million. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, your real estate mentor. This is the Road to $1 Million show. I'm inside of Rollout Show Studios. That's rolloutshow.com. You can watch us there. You can watch us on roadto1million.com. Hey, listen, I got this concept, you guys. I am writing this book. And it's a real basic book. It's a real basic conceptual book about why you ought to be focusing on real estate to grow your wealth and how you can take some basic ideas and create real estate wealth, even if you don't have any money. And I want to give this book away to a bunch of people so that they can say, hey, man, that's good. Or, hey, I'd change that. Or, hey, I wish you had said this or that. So I'm going to give the book away to probably Marlon, the first 500 people. I'm going to give away 500 of these books just to get some feedback. I'm going to give it away for free. So if you go to followdaroncampbell.com, I'm going to give you the book. I'm going to beta test the book on you. And if you get rich by mistake, don't blame me. Don't be mad. If you become wealthy by mistake, you could just call up and be one of my testimonials. Or maybe I'll even have you on the show and you'll see me say, look, I read Daron's book. I plugged in some of those principles and bam, I'm free now. Wouldn't that feel good? Would it feel good to be free? Oh my goodness. Reminds me of a story. I like stories. Let's have story time. You guys in the mood? Well, let's talk about where we are first. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. I'm your real estate mentor. This is the Road to $1 Million show. I'm inside of Rollout Studios, where you can watch Speedy and friends at rolloutshow.com. These guys will crack you up all day long. They make you laugh. They tell you all kinds. They cover everything on that show. No shame at all to Speedy's game. But listen, Speedy put me on. Speedy said, hey, DC, I'm going to give you your own show. I'm going to put you on. So what I did was I got in here. I said, I'm going to take this show. I'm going to lock the door. I'm going to keep Speedy out. Speedy can't even get back in the studio. This is my studio now. You're inside of Daron Campbell Studios now, baby. This is the Road to $1 Million show. I'm Daron Campbell. I'm the hardest working man in real estate. And Speedy messed up because he gave me my own show. Now I'm going to drop a little science on you. I'm going to drop a little wisdom on you. I'm going to teach you how to grow your prosperity. So if you go to followdaroncampbell.com, I'm going to give you a free copy of this book I'm writing. And let's see if it's a hit. I actually think it's a brief collection of, probably 50 principles I've learned about how you can get involved in real estate and start growing your legacy wealth. Hey, Nick, let's use that. That's a kind of a catchy phrase. Legacy wealth is what we want to grow. This I'm talking to you about wealth principles in general, but this is all about legacy wealth. What we want to do is we want to get to the point where there's something substantial for our families to keep going, so that our wealth doesn't just die when we die, so that what we've accumulated doesn't evaporate because we move along. The idea is there are families out there, ladies and gentlemen, whose children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren will forever be affluent, will be wealthy forever. Can you imagine that? Do you think that deeply? Do you think about, hey, you know what I've put together here will be good for the next 200 years. My great-great-grandchildren won't have to struggle because of what I'm building right now. Can you think that far out? Are you thinking that deeply, or are you just thinking about the rent in 3 weeks? Let's get you to another level. It's time to accumulate legacy wealth. And if you're not building legacy wealth, I'm worried about you. I'm worried about our future if that's not what you're doing. Winning this game is about creating legacy wealth so that eventually your money gets legs and it starts growing without you. That's what legacy wealth is, ladies and gentlemen. And if that's a new concept to you, I'm here to like change your paradigm. I'm here to change your money blueprint. I'm here to undo the shallow thinking that you might have been handed because people who didn't know any better just had to tell you what they knew. I'm trying to let you peek behind the curtain of what wealthy people do and the way wealthy people think and the way wealthy people think about assets versus liabilities. Now, the question is, are you accumulating assets or are you collecting liabilities? Uh-oh. I just made somebody mad, Speedy. Are you collecting assets or are you collecting liabilities? Are you building assets or collecting liabilities? Okay, I'll give you a little test. If this is a test right here. All right. If you decided you wanted to buy a new Lexus and you went to the dealership and the first thing the guy told you was, yeah, you can buy this car. It's $70,000. If you give me $5,000 down, then you only owe us $1,200 a month. And you go, oh, okay. I have to go and spend $1,200 of my paycheck every month to buy this car. And then you go figure out how you're going to squeeze that $1,200 out of your disposable income and pay for that car. And you are $1,200 a month poorer, right? Now, let me tell you how wealthy people think about that very same car on a real basic level, because I could give you some deep theories about the way they handle stuff like this. So here's the way they think about it. Okay, that fourplex that I own spins off $1,000 a month in cash flow. I would like a new car, and the car costs $1,200 a month. What a person with a wealthy mindset thinks is, I can't afford that car. Wait a minute, but Mr. Wealthy, you got a business and you got income over here and you got income over there. He goes, yeah, but I want that fourplex to pay for that car for me. I don't want to pay for that car. I don't want to have to dig deeper into my wallet to buy that better car. I want one of my assets to pay for that car. So you know what he decides? I can't buy that car for $1,200 a month until I get the passive income on that building up to $1,500 a month. So you know what his mission becomes? I'm going to raise rents on my building to get more income out of that building, and then that building will pay for the car. Uh-oh, did you hear that? All of you uneducated wealth builders, that's a little bit of insight into how wealthy people think. Their assets pay for their liabilities. Wait a minute, let that sink in for a second. Their assets pay for their liabilities. So they don't dig deeper into their savings account and their wallet and their checking account so that they could go get a new car. They try to grow their assets so that the asset will pay for the new car. Are you feeling me, people? is anybody hearing me? If you're hearing me, like this thing, say something, say, good job, Daron. Or if you disagree, say, hey, I'm going to go get a new Lexus, and I don't care if it costs $1,500 a month because I can afford it. Well, I'm going to challenge your thinking a little bit. Affording something is not the same as making enough money to pay for it. Those are two different things. I don't think you can afford something just because you have enough in your weekly check. The idea is you don't want a consumer product, an item, a thing, especially a depreciating thing. It's not even fair to call it a depreciating asset because it ain't an asset at all. A depreciating item, such as a car, such as a pair of shoes, such as a pair of $800 sunglasses. Don't even get me started on those $800 sunglasses. Any of those things are depreciating assets. What's a depreciating asset? Something that's worth less 10 minutes after you bought it than it was when you bought it. Now, people who think in terms of real wealth don't buy that stuff with their money. They buy it with other people's money. I got a hint for you. All of you out there paying rent, you're paying for somebody else's property and you're paying for their Lexus. Uh-oh, trouble on the horizon. Let's see. You're paying for your own Lexus and you're paying rent for your landlord. And guess what that's doing for him? That's paying for the property he owns and his Lexus. Oh my goodness. Is that disturbing? Is it disturbing to you that if you're paying rent, then you're supporting someone else's wealth? Listen, either you're eating or you're on the menu. Which one are you? If you're not eating at the table, you're probably on the menu. And if you're paying somebody else's bills and you're paying for somebody else's consumer goods, then you're on the menu, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to be one of the people who is growing your wealth. I'm just trying to, look, I'm not trying to offend you, but I'm trying to redirect the way you think. You should be accumulating things that pay for your things. Instead, you know what we tend to do as consumers? We tend to say, oh, I need to earn more money because my bills are outrunning my check. I can tell you right there that your foundation, your money blueprint is defective. What you should be thinking about is, how can I create something that pays me an additional amount so that I can afford that additional thing? And that thing is a depreciating asset. So those Louboutins you like to buy and those Jordans you guys like to buy and all of that crap that's worth nothing the day you walk out of the store with it should be being purchased by assets that grow in value and give you cash flow. Oh my goodness, there's another lightning strike that should be happening right now. Here's the thing. That is the fundamental principle behind wealth building, wealth accumulation. And once you start playing that game, oh my goodness, the lights go on and you go, wait a minute, I like this program. So that's why I love the income property game. That's why I love apartments. That's why I love duplexes and triplexes and fourplexes and 10-unit buildings and 20-unit buildings. And it's why I love to teach people how to get in that game. That's why I'm willing to give out the book that I'm writing for free. If you go to followdaroncampbell.com, I will give you one of the beta test books, one of the early books. Matter of fact, Marlon's going to be typing like crazy because the early version is going to be in the form of an ebook. I'll give you the electronic version. The hard version is coming right behind it very soon, but I'm willing to give it to you for free. By the time it gets to Amazon, it's going to be $25, and we'll be selling it hopefully to the world, to millions. However, if you go to followdaroncampbell.com now, we'll get you a free version of the book. And you can get a head start on the rest of the world because the real book won't be ready for a little while. But the early version, the ebook, the electronic version, I'm going to give it to you for free. How about that? You got a gift already and you don't even know me yet and you got a free gift. I just come bearing gifts. That's what I do. Why? I'm Daron Campbell. I'm the hardest working man in real estate. I'm also your new real estate mentor, and this is the Road to a Million show. And I'm inside of Rollout Show Studios, because my man Speedy, who does the Rollout Show every day at rolloutshow.com. You can also watch us on that site. And if you want to call in and talk a little trash, you want to call in and you want to object, you want to call in and you want to agree with me, you want to call in and tell me why you should be buying Louboutin shoes instead of an apartment building, call up, talk to me. Call me at 747-888-3082. 747-888-3082. I'm Daron Campbell. Call with your questions. All right. Someone has called in already, and this is Big J in Dallas. Big J in Dallas. What's up, Big J? Big J says, what do you think about investing in rental real estate versus multifamily or commercial real estate? All right. Jay, we got a fundamental difference of definition opinion here because rental real estate and multifamily real estate and commercial real estate are all the same thing. So just different categories of the same thing. When you say rental real estate, multifamily is rental real estate. That's what you do. You buy an apartment building and you rent it out, hopefully for a cash flow, hopefully for a profit. CRE commercial real estate is the same thing. All right, so let me give you some definitions here. Okay. There are single family real estate, or what people like to call residential real estate. In most circles, residential real estate is considered 1 to 4 units. That's houses, single family houses, up to 4 units. 1 to 4. That's considered residential real estate. Now, why is that its own category? It's its own category because the same kind of financing applies. So you can get a single family loan on a house, a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex. Same kind of loan. So if you're eligible for a 0 down payment, you got it. You could do it on any one of those. You're eligible for a 5% down or 10% down, you got it. You could do it on any one of those products. Single family, duplex, triplex, quadruplex, or fourplex. In California, we call it a fourplex. Now, that's considered residential real estate, okay? Now, when you get to 5 units and above, that's considered multifamily real estate. Those are apartments. Those are called apartment buildings now. You don't call it, most duplexes you wouldn't call an apartment building. Triplex, you don't call that an apartment building. 5 units and up, it's called multifamily real estate, also known as apartment buildings, okay? Now, apartment buildings, 5 units and up, are considered part of the commercial real estate world. That's just the multifamily part of the commercial real estate world. Okay, well, Daron, what are the other parts of commercial real estate? Tell me, define that for me. Okay, I'm going to give you a list. Here we go. Shopping centers, office buildings, hotels and motels, industrial property, warehouses. Those are all considered commercial real estate. So retail, that's shopping centers, office buildings, industrial buildings, hotels and motels, and industrial warehouses. Those are all considered commercial real estate. And they come in all sizes. You can buy commercial. I've sold a commercial property for as little as $500,000. And I've dealt with properties. I just showed somebody something that is actually for sale, a hotel for $432 million. So it ranges from tiny to giant. And you just, the fact is it's all considered or all classified as commercial real estate. Now, let me tell you a little bit about that. The ironic thing about commercial real estate is like you might be driving down the street and you see this giant apartment complex. It's got 500 units. It's like professionally managed. It's got workers doing work here and there, gardeners and electricians and people coming and going in a big office in the middle of the building in the lobby. And in your mind, and you see a management company sign out front that says Daron Campbell and Associates, like it's a company or something. And the fact is, in most cases, an individual or a partnership owns that building. You might go, what? What are you talking about? Same thing applies for like the typical office building. You're driving down, you're in LA, you're driving down Ventura Boulevard or Wilshire Boulevard, or you're in Chicago and you're driving down Michigan Avenue, or you're in Miami and you're driving down Brickell, or you're in Manhattan and you're driving down, 54th, and you see these buildings, all these office buildings, all these businesses, all this commerce going on, all these shopping centers, and you see the names of the businesses that are in those buildings, and you assume, hey, Bank of America owns that building, or State Farm owns that building, or whomever owns that building. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a surprise for you. Most times, those companies are only tenants in that building. And most times, an individual, just like you or me, owns that building. What are you talking about, Daron? Do you mean to tell me that the Arco Tower downtown, or the Bank of the Citicorp building, or the Bank of New York building, or the Bank of Atlanta, or the HSBC building, those are owned by people, by regular people? The answer is yes. Those are investment properties, ladies and gentlemen. And many times, and you'd be shocked how many times, a person or a family trust owns that real estate. What are you talking about? You mean a person might own a 30-story office building downtown? And I'm telling you, yes, absolutely. Somebody is accumulating monster wealth by owning this monster building that they built after accumulating a number of properties and accelerating their wealth and growing and growing and growing. They've accumulated enough assets to purchase that property. Shocking, isn't it? I showed somebody a brand new hotel right here in Los Angeles, a brand new Beverly Hills hotel, and they were shocked to find out that a gentleman and his wife and his 2 8-year-old twins own that $500 million hotel. What? What are you talking about? I thought it was like the name of the company on the hotel. No, ladies and gentlemen, the Hilton or the Hyatt or the Holiday Inn or the Marriott, those are simply the management companies that are managing that property as a hotel for that individual or for that family. That's mind-boggling, isn't it? You thought Marriott owned that hotel that you stayed at last weekend. Did anybody know you were at that hotel? Oh, yeah, that's another story. The fact is, Marriott just manages that hotel. An individual or a family or a trust owns that hotel. And Marriott collects a fee for managing that hotel as a Marriott hotel. This is like some deep education that a lot of people just don't even think about. You're driving down the street every day headed to work. You're just assuming all these companies own all these buildings, and they don't. People own those buildings. You could own those buildings. Imagine the rent that the guy is getting from Marriott to manage that hotel. If you owned your local Marriott and Marriott paid you very, very, very handsomely to operate that property for you, would that be kind of fun to own? You think the guy's making money? You think that the owner of the hotel is profitable? If Marriott wants to run it as one of their hotels, you think he's doing okay? I think he's doing okay. You think his kids are going to be doing okay? I think so. You think that qualifies as legacy wealth? I think so, ladies and gentlemen. That's just a little bit of the kind of knowledge we're dropping on you on the Road to a Million Show. This is roadtoamillionshow.com. I'm Daron Campbell. I'm your real estate mentor. I'm the hardest working man in real estate. I'm just here to give you a little education. I want you to grow. I want you to proliferate. I want you to expand your knowledge. I want you to become wealthy. I want you to get some legacy wealth. You think we can make that happen? I think we can make that happen. If you're not careful, you might learn something. You want to call me? 747-888-3082. 747-888-3082. I'm inside a Rollout Show Studios. This is where Speedy and friends do the funny stuff, 11 to 3. I'm here to drop a little bit of seriousness on you. I don't have as many jokes as Speedy, but I'm trying to educate you a little bit. I'm trying to help you grow. 747-888-3082. I'm Daron Campbell. Call me up. Let's talk about it. All right. We got a call from LM that says, my friend is trying to buy a home without a savings account. What should be the first step? get a savings account. I hope that wasn't too obvious for you, LM. But the fact is, okay, let me tell you why the savings account, the banking, the having some kind of savings, checking, etc., is important. Because here's the thing: when you try to buy a home and the bank evaluates whether or not you're eligible to own that home, there's one part of the equation that they're going to pay attention to, and it's called reserves. And what they want to know typically is that you have 6 months worth of reserves in the bank, not in a shoebox in your closet, not in the mattress, and not in a safe. They want to see evidence of reserves sufficient enough to carry that place for about 6 months. So that means you're going to have a savings account. You're going to have 6 months worth of the bills in that account outside of your down payment. Now, that's the conventional methodology. Are there exceptions to every rule? Absolutely. If you were fortunate enough to convince a seller to carry the loan for you and finance the home for you, he may not care how much you have in the bank. But for a typical bank, even if you put zero down, they're going to want to see some dollars in the bank as a reserve so that you're not going bankrupt, 30 days after you buy the property. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope that makes sense. You gotta tell that friend, LM, you gotta tell that friend, go open a savings account, a savings and a checking account, because they're gonna want to know how you're gonna pay the mortgage every month. So put some money in the bank, and I don't know how conventional the income is or what have you, but banking is necessary. So I want you to think about that. All right. And so let's continue with the wealth principles. How about that? Let's get into a few more of these wealth principles. But I'm glad we took those two questions from the callers. If you got more, call. We'll answer as many as we can, as long as we can get through our subject matter. And so let's continue. All right. So another wealth principle is the fact that there's this thing called cause and effect. Now, the reason cause and effect is important is because everything you do is a subject is a result of cause and effect. What does that mean? Look, money is a result. Wealth is a result. Illness or health is a result. Your weight is a result. Everything we do is a result, and it's a product of cause and effect. For every cause, there is a corresponding effect. What are you talking about, Daron? What I mean is what you choose to do today will have an effect. What you choose to eat this morning is going to have an effect. Where, Daron? Where's the effect? It's going to have an effect on your energy. It's going to have an effect on your overall health, an effect on your overall energy level, an effect on your overall wellness picture. Okay, let's just put it like this. You're going to choose 2 glazed donuts, or you're going to choose, a couple of boiled eggs. That's a choice. They both will be the cause, and they both will have an effect. You choose the 2 glazed donuts, your glycemic index is going to shoot through the roof. You're going to be crashing by noon, tired, looking for some kind of boost, and then you'll probably gain a pound by tomorrow. That's the unfortunate truth. If you eat those 2 Krispy Kremes, stop it right there. Stop right now. I can see you in your car driving to work, about to just shove those Krispy Kremes down your face. Listen, think again. So, hey, didn't mean to ruin your Krispy Kreme parade. You didn't think anybody was watching, did you? But I see you. All right. The second choice is if you chose something healthy. I don't know, fruit, yogurt, boiled eggs, whatever, your choice. But the point is that will have a different effect than the 2 donuts. Agreed? Well, life, that's a metaphor for life, ladies and gentlemen. What you choose to do with your time will have an effect on your outcome, on your eventuality. If you choose to stay in your dead-end job and do nothing about growing your wealth in some other manner, then the effect will be 5 years from now, you will have exactly what you got, which is whatever that is. So if you don't do anything to change things, then the effect will be you keep getting what you've always been getting, as opposed to changing your trajectory by doing something else. Hey, look, a lot of us have a job and we can't leave our job. You go, Daron, hey, I need this job. I got to pay the bills. I get it. But if that job is dead end, then what are you doing to affect your eventuality? Are you doing anything to change the future, or are you just going to live in it? Oh my God, there's a book I'm going to tell you guys about. Oh boy, we should just talk about it. I'll just tell you right now. Write this down. Outwitting the Devil. Oh my goodness, what a brilliant book. You know, I was just telling my man Joe, who introduced me to Speedy, ironically, I was just telling him about some of my favorite books. He obviously already knows about most of them, but I was just telling him about some of my favorite books. And at the top of that list is a book called Outwitting the Devil. It's by Napoleon Hill. It was a book that was so controversial, they didn't publish it for 70 years after it was written, and waited till well after he and his wife passed away because the subject matter was so controversial. Why was it controversial? Because it was all about how he believed we are manipulated, I guess. And he calls, our apathy or our lack of ambition is the work of the devil. And, it's metaphorical, but the book is written like he's having a conversation with the devil himself. And the devil is having a good time because the devil talks about how he has tricked all of us, or most of us, into becoming complacent, and into becoming drifters, into becoming like la-di-da, laissez-faire, no big deal. These casual people who are essentially drifting through life. And if you drift through life, in his metaphor, you're basically doing the devil's work, because the devil wants you to drift. He wants you to do nothing. He wants you to have no ambition. He wants you to smoke a bud and chill out and eat a donut. And the fact is, people who are doing that in his mind are completely wasting their opportunity to do something real in life. And the opposite work is the honorable thing to do, which is do something with yourself. And it's just a great book. If you get the opportunity to read Outwitting the Devil, that'll be today's recommended book. I'll recommend a book every time I come on the show. And just right there at the very, very top of my list is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. If any of you get a chance to read that, I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did. So let's go on to another principle. What do you got for me, Daron? All right. So, oh man, TFAR. Okay, let's see. What does that mean? TFAR. Thoughts, that's the T, lead to feelings. That's the F. Feelings lead to actions. That's the F and the A. Actions lead to results. Okay, so that's a little continuum. If you put a T, an arrow, then an F, then an arrow, and then an A, and then equals R. TFAR. Thoughts lead to feelings. Feelings lead to actions. Actions lead to results. Here's the tricky part. That's both positive and negative. That's why it's very important, as a person who wants to grow, as a person who wants to increase, as a person who wants to grow wealth, your thoughts are so important. What is it you spend time thinking about? What is it you spend time working on? Because your thoughts are going to lead to feelings. And those feelings are going to lead to the actions that you take. And those actions will lead to the results that you get. Does that make sense? That's really related to our cause and effect. But this goes actually before cause and effect, because you have to have the thoughts that lead you to the feelings, that lead you to the actions, and the actions are those causes, and then the effects are what happened later. So there are many, many of my mentors who said early on, protect your thoughts. Protect what you think about. Be very, very deliberate with your thoughts. Like, how much time do you spend thinking about your growth? How much time do you spend thinking about your future? How much time do you spend thinking about your wealth? How much time do you spend thinking about how to have legacy wealth? Here's the other side of that coin. How much time do you spend in front of the television thinking about nothing? Woo. Pregnant pause. Think about that for a second. Do you get home and by 7 o'clock you're in front of the television and you stay right there till midnight? Is that your life? Is that your life? Are you spending 5 hours a night watching the boob tube? Is that the most productive way to spend your time and energy? Is that the best way to grow your future? Remember, thoughts lead to feelings, and those feelings lead to actions, and those actions lead to the results you're gonna get. What are your results? What have they been so far? What is the product of your thoughts and your feelings and your actions? What have you got right now? Take an assessment. Let's look around. What do I have? Do I own anything? Do I own my own home? Do I own any assets? Do I own any income producing property? Do I own any stocks and bonds? Do I own any businesses? What do you got? What are you working on? I suggest that if you raise the level of your thoughts, then you'll raise the level of your feelings. Then you'll vibe better. You'll create more energy. You'll bring more energy to the table, and then your actions will result in greater things. Does that make any sense? I think it makes some sense. Why don't you give that a little bit of thought? What if you cut down that television watching for 1 hour and then just took that hour to write down your goals for the next 5 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Think about it. 5 years ago was just 2014. Doesn't that seem like last week? I mean, think about it. How old are you now? Do you remember 10 years ago? Do you remember if you're 50, you remember your 30th birthday? If you're 40, you remember your 20th birthday? Do you remember your 16th birthday? Do you remember when you got your driver's license? Doesn't that seem like just a few years ago? How old are you now? What have you accomplished since? You got to think about it, ladies and gentlemen. So if you cut your TV watching down and your social media surfing down and, you know, the just pure time wasting down, just cut it down a little bit. What if you cut it all down by 25%? Watch one less binge-worthy TV show each night. Instead of watching 3 different things, well, why don't you just watch 2? And then spend that next hour working on your future. How about thinking about how you can grow yourself? How about thinking about how you can accumulate some wealth? How about thinking about how you can find some assets and create some passive income? Hey, I'm writing this really, really good book, and it's a simple book because it's for everybody and anybody, and I want you to get it for free. You want it for free? Go to followdaroncampbell.com. That's followdaroncampbell.com, and Daron is spelled Daron, just in case you wondered, and Campbell is CAMP as in Paul, B as in boy, ELL. That's followdaroncampbell.com. I'm going to give you the book for free. Why am I giving it to you for free? Because I just wrote it. It's fresh off the presses, and I want to get some feedback on it. I want people to tell me, hey, Daron, I loved your book. And then when Amazon gets a hold of it, you guys might want to endorse it. And then we sell 1 million copies. And then I say, Speedy, my book is famous. I'm taking over the whole station. I'm taking over all the time. I'm doing a 12-hour-a-day show. Speedy, you're out. I'm in. It's the Daron Campbell studio now. That's what's going to happen when we sell 1 million books. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is so go to followdaroncampbell.com and get your free copy of the book before it goes on sale. All right, let's keep going with our wealth principles, because I just gave you a good one with that. Thoughts lead to feelings, and feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. I want you to ruminate on that for a second, because what you think about, you become. All right. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see. This one, this is an interesting one. This is a deeper level about why you want money or wealth. Wow. It says, if your motivation for acquiring money or success comes from a non-supportive root, such as fear, anger, or the need to prove yourself, then your money will not bring you happiness. Oh man, think about that. Why is it you want to grow? Why is it you want to grow your wealth? Why is it you want to become a wealthy person? Why is it you want to have money? Is it for some reason that is driven by something that's not positive? Or is it something that is your why, something that's admirable, something that is helpful, something that can help other people grow? Like, so for instance, I talk about this all the time. I'm a participant in the Jackie Robinson Foundation, and that's a foundation that gives scholarships to 240 kids every year to go to college who might not have otherwise gone to college or might not have at least otherwise been able to pay for a lot of their college. So this foundation, named after the great Jackie Robinson, who founded by the great Jackie Robinson's wife, Rachel Robinson, this foundation is all about helping kids go to college and have a little less debt and get an opportunity they might not have otherwise had. And that foundation is part of my why. That foundation is part of the motivation I have to do better, to get more. See, at a certain level, you can have enough cars, enough clothes, enough shoes. Come on. All that stuff is a little bit empty at the end of the day. It's good to have. Don't get me wrong. Hey, I like cars with the best of them. But you got to have a bigger reason. Maybe your reason is your parents. Maybe you want to do something great for your mom and dad. That's a reason. That's a real reason. Maybe you want to make sure your kids don't have to struggle the way you struggled. Maybe you want to accumulate something great so that they don't have the same rocky road that you did. You can make their life a little easier, and then maybe they can build on top of what you build on, and we can create that legacy wealth. Let's talk about income-producing property, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm talking about. I want to help you get your first apartment building. I want to help you get your first income property. I'm telling you, there are really, really interesting ways to do it. I'll tell you what. It's story time. Let me give you a story. I promised you one a while ago. All right, so I'm a big advocate of income-producing property, right? Right. Well, early on, as a youngster, when I had absolutely nothing, no money, no assets, but I gotten into the real estate business, and I knew selling real estate is great, but owning real estate is greater. And so I was on this quest. I'm going to find a way to buy my first apartment building. I'd love for all of you to be on the same quest. I'd love to help every one of you own your first apartment building inside of the next 12 months. Would that be exciting? You know what? I'm going to find a way to do that. I'm going to find a way to help 100 people buy their first income property in the next year. Write that down as a project, Marlon. We're going to do that. We're going to help 100 people buy their first income property in the next year, and it's going to be listeners of this show. All right, back to my story. All right, I'm a young real estate agent, no money yet, no nothing. I think my credit might have even been less than average. But I said to myself, I'm going to find a way to own some apartments because I know that's the road to $1 million. That's the road to wealth. So I decided I'm going to keep my eyes and ears open. So as I'm selling real estate every day, I run into one of my guys cold called this gentleman who owned these two small, really ugly apartment buildings. I mean, ugly. I'm talking about pieces of caca. They were bad. There was a 4-unit building and there was a 12-unit building. And most of you listening to me wouldn't live in those buildings if I paid you to. They were ugly. They were stinky. They were roach infested. They were plumbing breaks. I mean, you name it. These properties had the problem. But this gentleman who wanted to sell, he seemed particularly anxious to sell. Like, okay, yeah. How fast do you think you can sell these things? I'm thinking to myself, I can sell them pretty fast, I guess, if you price them right. He goes, well, yeah, price them right. I'll do what you say on the pricing, but let's just get them sold. Let's get them sold. And I'm sensing, my spider sense is tingling here. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe this guy is that creative seller that I've been looking for. Why? Because I want to buy some apartment buildings, but here's my problem. I don't have any money. And wait a minute, my credit's a little shaky too. Uh-oh. And wait a minute, and I got a pregnant wife at home who needs to quit working pretty soon because she's going to have a baby. let me think about this. Huh? What can I do? What can I do? So I go home after talking to that guy, and I formulate a plan. I go, what if I could get this guy to play banker and carry the financing for me and let me buy his apartment buildings? Now I figure this is a long shot because most people, when they sell, they want their money. But just once in a while, maybe somebody is motivated by something else. So the next morning, after I did a lot of thinking, I called him up. This guy's name was Mo. Don't even worry about what kind of guy Mo was, a guy named Mo. But anyway, I said, Mo, why is it you want to sell these buildings so fast? And Mo said, well, I'm moving out of the country. I'm going to go do some missionary work or something in Guatemala or somewhere. And I was like, Mo wants to sell these buildings, but Mo didn't say, hey, I need all my money. I need to get out to sell fast because I need the cash. Mo said, I need to get out of these buildings because I need to move out of the country. Now, read between the lines, ladies and gentlemen. Pay close attention. That means Mo just didn't want to have the responsibility of managing and cleaning and whatever. He didn't do much cleaning over there, but managing and cleaning and maintaining the apartments, dealing with those tenants, those crazy tenants. He just needed to get out of the responsibility. So I said, hey, Mo, I have an idea. I could get you out of those buildings in the next 5 days. He goes, what you talking about, Daron? And I said, listen, how about this? What if I buy the buildings from you? I'll agree to your price that I helped him figure out, but I'll agree to your price. How about you? I don't have any money, but I'll buy them, but I don't have any money. But you carry the loans on both buildings and I'll buy them both. He looked around and he thought to himself, he goes, can we do that? I go, of course we can do that. I go, you own the buildings. If you agree to be the bank, if you agree to carry the financing, and I agree to sign a note saying I'll pay you back or you get the buildings back if I don't pay you, then we can make a deal and we can make a deal fast. We can almost make a deal overnight. He goes, that sounds reasonable to me. He goes, you mean I could move in a week? I go, you could move in a week. He goes, okay, write it up, put it together. So what I proceeded to do, this is what I talk about when I say get creative, ladies and gentlemen. So what I proceeded to do was draft a note. I made an offer, I wrote an offer, and I drafted some terms of a loan that basically was 100% financing on these apartment buildings, 2 apartment buildings, 4 units and 12 units. And it basically was, I'm paying you the full price on the 4 unit. I'm paying you the full price on the 12 unit, but I'm coming up with no money. I'm like, wait a minute. People didn't even believe that could be done. He didn't even believe it could be done. We wrote it up. He looked at it. He goes, makes sense to me. Now, remember, I was going to now own the buildings. I was going to now collect the rents or try to, and I was going to send him a payment every month. But I would be the owner of the buildings. Now, remember, these were old, ugly, stinky, roach-infested, sewer-smelling buildings. But I wanted to own some buildings. So Mo agreed to carry the financing, and I bought the buildings. And we closed in like 3 days. And so Mo went off to Guadalajara or Guatemala or both, and I took over these rat-infested buildings. And so, as the story goes, I suddenly, a man with no money and no credit, was the owner of 2 apartment buildings. How amazing is that? Okay, and so then, I just so happened that like a couple days after the close of escrow, I was supposed to go on vacation somewhere. So I'm off on my vacation with my wife, and I get like 15 phone calls in the middle of the night saying, oh, we sprung a leak. Oh, the building's flooding. Oh, there's water everywhere. And I go, oh my God, what is going on? And so then I tell one of the tenants, I say, call the plumber. I think they called somebody like Roto-Rooter or some retail plumbing outfit. They came there with like 4 trucks. And they said, where's the owner? They said, he's out of town. And they went to town. So while I was out of town, this retail plumber came and went to town. They fixed every leak they could find. And when I got back into town from my vacation to visit my newly acquired apartment buildings, I had a $16,000 plumbing bill. What? 16 grand? Almost passed out. Anyway, long story short, I had to deal with the plumbing situation. It was terrible plumbing, but I negotiated with that plumber, and they were grossly trying to overcharge me for things that didn't need to get done, but whatever. The moral of the story is I bought 2 apartment buildings with no money. Now, the real work started after I bought the buildings because they were in complete chaos. There was one unit, a 1-bedroom unit that had 16 people living in it. Oh, wait, and they weren't paying their rent. So the responsibilities that came along with those buildings were huge, but nevertheless, I was up to the task, and I was able to buy 2 apartment buildings with no money. What is the lesson for you? The lesson for you, ladies and gentlemen, is that anything is possible. You can own apartment buildings, and you don't have to have a bajillion dollars. There are scenarios out there, there are situations out there where somebody might be willing to sell to you and give you a break in one department or another. I happened to find a guy who really wanted to leave the country really soon, and so I bought his ugly apartment buildings with no money. So when you say, hey, Daron, I can't get into the investment real estate business, I can't buy assets because I don't have any money and I don't have any credit, I will argue that where there's a will, there's a way. And I need you to get assets. I need you to own income-producing assets to grow your legacy wealth. So that's why we're talking about wealth principles today on the Road to a Million show. This is the Road to a Million show because we're trying to teach you how to grow to a million or more. Okay? I'm Daron C. Campbell. I'm the hardest working man in real estate. This is the Road to a Million show. I'm inside of Rollout Show Studios. This is where Speedy and friends hang out from 11 to 3 every day at rolloutshow.com. And this is where you can call me now on the Road to a Million show to talk about money, to talk about financing, to talk about loans, to talk about business, to talk about how you can grow, how you can get legacy wealth. Today we're talking about wealth principles. We're going to come back and wrap this thing up with some more wealth principles. We're going to take about a 5-minute break. I want you guys to hang in there. If you got questions, get them ready. Call me at 747-888-3082. You can holler at me on the show. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me. You can object if you want to. You can argue if you want to. If you think I'm crazy for suggesting that you own income-producing property, tell me about it. Let's debate. I got an A in debate in high school. I was the king of debate. Bring it. We'll be back in 5 minutes on the Road to a Million show. All right. Here we are. We are back. We are back. Guess where we are? We're on the road to $1 million, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, your real estate mentor. And I'm at Rollout Show Studios. This is where the rolloutshow.com happens. This is where Speedy and friends are on the Rollout Show every day, 11 to 3. And now this is where Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, is on the road to $1 million show from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I know Speedy's got a whole lot of Midwest and East Coast folks that might watch us live. They might watch us later. Well, we're going to train you guys to watch the Road to $1 Million show. I hope you like what you're hearing so far. We're just trying to grow your financial intelligence. And real estate happens to be my favorite vehicle, and income producing property happens to be my most favorite vehicle inside of the vehicle called real estate. So I want to teach you how to own some income producing property. I think in order to build what we're calling legacy wealth, we need to start thinking in terms of owning income producing property. We need to start owning income producing property. And you know what? It's a great idea to start owning income producing property right in your own neighborhood, right where you live. Rents are going up, ladies and gentlemen. They're not going down. Over time, rents continue to go up. Even if there were like half of a hiccup in a certain year, generally they go up. How much rent were you paying 10 years ago versus how much you're paying now? I'm here to tell you right now that rents in this town, Los Angeles, are up over 100% over the last 10 years. What? That doesn't make any sense. 100% increase in rent. Now let's see. If your landlord can collect 100% more money than he could collect 10 years ago for that same apartment that you might live in, the question becomes, did your paycheck go up 100% in the last 10 years? Are you making double what you made 10 years ago? Most of us are paying double the rent. If you move to a new place, are you gonna where's the rent gonna be? Higher or lower? Where have rents gone over the last 10 years? Higher or lower? They're up 100% in this town. Is your income up 100%? If your income's not up 100%, but your rent is up 100%, who you think's in the better position? You or the landlord? You or the person who owns the property? Shouldn't that person be you? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about owning income-producing property so we could create legacy wealth, pass it on to our kids, create cash flow, buy our stuff with our cash flow. Assets produce cash flow and increase in value while you own them. Ladies and gentlemen, how does it get any better than that? I want you to start owning things that create legacy wealth. And we're going to talk some more about that because we got some questions that people they want to know. Okay, so true or false? Somebody in the chat room had a question. They ask, technically, is this true? True or false? Technically, you will never own your property because you have to pay property tax. Well, I'd say false. Big false. Absolutely false. Every property everywhere on planet Earth is subject to property taxes, and that's fine. That's just what we have to pay the city and the county, in most cases, for the use of that land, for the commercial and or personal use of that property. And the fact is, look, property taxes are paid because of the benefits that we get for owning the property. You know, you use the water, you use the street, you use the sewer, you use the utilities, and the municipality provides those things and they charge you taxes. Now look, if they didn't pave the street in front of your property, would you be upset? If you had to drive home on a dirt road every day, you'd probably be upset. Well, guess what? Your taxes pave that street. I got a phone call, and you know I try to take as many phone calls as possible. Let them through, Nick. Who am I talking to?
DJ out there, Vegas.
Hey, what's up, man? How are you, DJ?
All righty, yourself?
I'm great today, man. Doing well.
Good. Had a deal I wanted to run past you.
Okay.
So it's in Vegas. 4 units. 500 is the asking price. 850 is the average rent for 4 units.
Okay.
Cap rate is 6.9%.
Okay.
Fully renovated. Recently fully renovated.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And have you looked into what kind of financing that you can obtain?
No, I haven't. I'm just looking at the deal first to see if it's. I mean, I'm just curious if it's a good deal or not. Want another opinion on it.
All right. Well, so let's talk about that for a second. All right. So you got 4 units. They're $500,000 is the asking price. You got $850 average on the units. That means you're collecting $3,400 a month in rent. Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if that building collects $3,400 a month in rent, that means that, okay, income is $3,400. The way you determine whether or not this is a good deal or not is you need to figure out what kind of mortgage you're going to have, and then what the expenses are on that building every month. And if that number collectively, now don't forget, don't leave some things out. You go mortgage, you go principal, interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance and repairs, or estimated maintenance and repairs. Add all of those up, and if that number is less than $3,400, you should buy that deal.
Yeah, I think on this deal, it's actually impossible to be under $3,400 and monthly with all of that.
Well, it depends. Remember, it all depends. If $500,000 is the price, and you're getting a loan for $400,000, then maybe it makes it. If you're buying that property for $500,000 and you're only putting down, $10,000 and the loan is $490,000, then it might not work. So what you really need to do is figure out what your financing situation is. All right, so let me help you out here. Let's say that owner might want to get creative. What if that owner agrees to be creative, and you say, hey, Mr. Owner, I want you to carry. Remember you heard the story I told about how I bought 2 apartment buildings with no money? Well, What if this guy would do that for you? Let's say, hey, Mr. Owner, I want to buy your building. I'll pay you $500,000, but I want you to finance it for me. I want you to finance the whole $500,000, and I want you to carry the loan, and I want you to carry it at 6% interest only. So, hey, Mr. Seller, I'll pay you full price. You carry the note, 6%, interest only. You carry it for me for 5 years, and after that, I'll refinance it and pay you off. Okay? Is that fair? Let's try that. Let's ask him that. So, $500,000 at 6% means you're gonna have to pay $30,000 in interest. 30 grand. 30 grand is your mortgage amount for the year. 30 grand divided by 12, $2,500, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so your mortgage is $2,500. Now, the question is, we know we're collecting $3,400. We know that the mortgage is $2,500. Now, all of the other things have to be less than $900 a month. Taxes, insurance, maintenance and repairs, and principal. Well, we already got principal and interest figured out. So taxes, insurance, maintenance, and repairs have to equal less than $900 a month for you to cash flow. So taxes are easy to figure out. They're usually about, in Vegas, I think taxes are, if you estimated 1.5%, you'd probably be right on point. 1.5%, it's going to be $7,500 a year. That kind of just blew your equation right there. You might, because that's like $600. Now you're at $3,100. You have to do everything else on less than $300 a month.
Yeah.
It's looking like it's not cash flowing on a zero on a zero down situation.
The estimated expenses are $6,100 for the year, so that's $500 a month. So you over that.
There you go.
So, like I said, I don't think at all that this is a good deal.
But wait, DJ, let's figure something else out. If the rents are $850 right now, what kind of units are those? It must be like 1 bedrooms or something, yeah?
Ones and twos.
Okay, well, wait a minute. Then let's give this some thought. Shouldn't a 2-bedroom in Vegas rent for more than $850?
Well, it depends on the area and the amenities.
Of course. It sounds like a really low number for me for a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe the 1-bedrooms might deserve to be $850, but the 2s, maybe the 2s should be $1,100, $1,200. So here's something to think about. Just because the deal might not pencil on its face, it might pencil if you raise the rents to the market. So here's what I've done in a lot of situations. What I've done is I buy a building where the rents are below market, but over the first 6 months, I raise all the below market rents to market. And so what if you could go from $3,400 a month to $4,000 a month in income? What if you could raise the 2 bedrooms up to $1,150, jack up the income by 300 times 2, $600 a month, take the rent to $4,000? Now does it work? It might work now.
But also, you figure that it's recently fully renovated, and they're barely getting $850 now after the renovation.
Well, that to me sounds oddly low. Even in a tough neighborhood, a fully renovated unit that only gets $850.
Exactly.
Let's double check that, man. Let's double check that. Something doesn't sound right. I mean, Vegas is still boomtown. I mean, even in the tough spots, a 2-bedroom should be more than $850. So,
well, like I said, it all depends on the area. Because in Vegas right now, they're building from here on. They're building modern, high-income apartment buildings. So if you go to the other side of town, or you go to one of these new ones, yeah, your rent is going to be $1,250 max, maybe for a 12-bedroom. I'll say between $1,250 and $1,350
for a 2-bedroom.
If you go to for a 2-bedroom.
Okay.
Now, if you go to a messed up area in Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
you can get a 2-bedroom for about $500, $560.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, that'll be the whole equation right there. If this property doesn't support more than $850, the deal don't work. So,
exactly.
All right, so that's how you'd make your judgment, man. Find out where the market rents are, and that's how you make the decision.
But yeah, I just wanted to call in and give that example because everything, you really got to do the math and you really got to do the numbers. I've seen people say that this is a good deal, people that don't really know, and I'm like, look, you got to do the math, and if you do the math, it'll tell you if it's a good deal or not. It's easy.
You're 100% right, my man.
I just wanted to prove that point. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Right,
talk to you soon. All right, so hey, my man DJ in Vegas, he had a very good point. He's saying, look, let's do the math. you got to do the math, ladies and gentlemen. If he were to buy that property and he lost $200, $300, $400 a month, it's no longer an asset. It's now a liability. If it costs you money every month, it becomes a liability. It's not an asset if it doesn't make money at the end of the day, after all the bills are paid. So I want you to do your math carefully. Again, we're not in the business of just having our name on title to a piece of property. It's gotta make sense. And that's how you build assets that create income, that create cash flow, that turn into legacy wealth. All right? All right, so now I had another question, and we're going to try to address it. What are 3 simple steps someone could take to start on the path of legacy wealth? All right, I'm going to end on this great story. I'll tell you exactly why, and I'll give you a story that makes it happen. Okay, so I had a friend and a client. We'll call him Steve, and Steve met me. And I told him my whole story about legacy wealth, and I told him my whole story about income, property, and I told him my whole story about cash flow and how that is the whole game. And Steve goes, well, man, I don't have any cash, so I don't have a down payment for an apartment building, but I want to own an apartment building. I go, well, what do you have, man? And Steve happened to have a house that he and his family were living in. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's take a look at the house, and let's see if is there any equity in that house. Well, we looked at the house, and it turned out Steve had some equity in that house that he had owned for 9 or 10 years, and we had the ability to refinance a little bit of the equity out of the house to give him a down payment on an apartment building, a small apartment building. And so, after getting everything evaluated, we found that Steve could pull a decent amount out of the house. At this point, he was able to pull about $100,000 out of this house. He had owned it for a while. They were paying their mortgage on time. He had equity. The bank said, yeah, you got enough room. We'll let you we'll refinance it, and we'll let you pull out $100,000. So Steve called me up real excited. Hey, DC, I got $100,000. I could work with $100,000. Can we go find an apartment building that makes sense? I said, absolutely, we could do it. So I went on the hunt for him an apartment building, and we happened to find a small building. We actually found it was an 8-unit building. We found him an 8-unit apartment building. Now, here's the key. We found an 8-unit apartment building that was priced kind of like you would think a normal price. However, the rents in the units was lower than it needed to be. It was too low. Well, it was not too low, but it was lower than it needed to be because the previous owner never raised rents. And you'll find that happens a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the best opportunities are where owners have failed to raise rents for years and years sometimes. Well, this older person who owned this building, we bought it from them, and the average rent was $200 a month lower on average than it needed to be in every unit, in all 8 units. So what we did was I helped Steve buy that building. And it was a small cash flow when he bought it. But our goal was to get those rents up to market. Okay, so what we did over time, I think it was about 6 to 8 months, was we got those rents up. And by increasing the rents to market, we added an additional $1,600 a month to Steve's bottom line. So Steve's property was now cash flowing significantly. So now that the rents were up to market, we sat down and we talked. We said, hey, good job. It took us 7 or 8 months to get these rents up to market. What do we do now? And so I said to Steve, look, you got a couple of options. You can sit back and collect this cash flow every month, or by raising the rents to market, we have effectively increased the value of your building. What we can do is we can go back out to the market. We could put your building up for sale, and we could sell it at a higher price because you're collecting $1,600 per month more than you were going to, more than you used to. Okay, so let me just give you guys a real baby math equation to show you how this works. Okay, at that time, apartment buildings were selling at about 10 times annual income. Okay, let's just don't get too caught up in the math, but just roll with me on this. If you increase income on a building $1,600 a month, and you collect that every month for a year, that's a total of $19,200 extra dollars a year in your pocket in cash flow, right? But here's what's more important. If that building is trading or selling at 10 times the annual income, and Steve just increased the income of the building by $19,200, how much has the value of the building gone up? Do, 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 do. That's the quiz music. That means the value of the building, ladies and gentlemen, went up by $192,000. That means Steve could sell that building for $192,000 more than he bought the building for. Do you see how we just manufactured money? We invented money, poof, out of thin air just by increasing the rents and taking the rents just to the market, just to market rents. So if they were $800, we took them to $1,000 because that's what the market said he could get. So we raised those rents. It took us 7 or 8 months, but suddenly the building was worth almost $200,000 more. We put the building on the market and we got him $200,000 more than he spent. He just increased that refinance. He pulled out $100 and he sold it for $200 more than he bought it. So he turned $100,000 into $300,000. Is that magic? That's almost like money magic. That's money magic. $100,000 in 8 months turns into $300,000. You see how that works? Is that crazy? People want to know, how do you build wealth? This is how you build wealth. It's mathematics, ladies and gentlemen. It's not magic. It's not speculation. We didn't guess. We predictably invented a $200,000 profit. So a man took $100,000 out of his house. He had no cash on him. He had $100 in the house. He took the $100 out of the house. He increased it by $200 more. He suddenly had $300,000. What do you think we did with his $300,000? Did we go out and pay cash for a Bentley? No, we did not. We went and bought another building. We went and bought a bigger building. We went and bought him a 26-unit building. Suddenly, the man bought a building where the cash flow was $9,000 a month. So a man with no income producing property and nothing but a little bit of equity in his house pulled some of the equity out of the house, bought a building, repositioned the rents in that building, resold that building, turned $100,000 into $300,000, then went and bought another building that had similar metrics and was suddenly making $9,000 a month cash flow. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, you think making money is rocket science? You think wealth building is some geometric equation? You think making money and building legacy wealth is some kind of algorithm? It's not, ladies and gentlemen. Income producing property is valued based on the rent it collects. So if you can find something where the rent is lower than it should be and you acquire that property and raise the rent to where it should be, many times you can resell that building at the multiplier that you bought it at while still making money. Or you simply raise those rents and you cash flow that extra money. You don't sell the building. Look, I suggest you keep it if you don't have to sell it. But what I'd suggest, if you're trying to grow, and you see how a man went from just a house to a 8-unit building to suddenly a 26-unit building, you just watch somebody build some legacy wealth right in front of your face without rocket science, without a degree in math and science and engineering and no MBA, no real estate PhD. It's just a regular guy who owned a house who said, I want to own some apartment buildings. And he made it happen. So I'm here to tell you that that's doable. I'm here to tell you that that can happen. I'm here to tell you that the road to $1 million is not complicated. It's not full of twists and turns. You just got to know what you're looking for. You got to know what you're doing. And then you got to take some action. And if you take some action, I can predictably help you get to the point where you got legacy wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, you need some legacy wealth. You need some cash flow. You need some income producing property. Who's telling you this? Me. I'm Daron C. Campbell. I'm your real estate mentor. I'm the hardest working man in real estate. I'm here to help you grow your legacy wealth. And if you don't have any, now it's time you start thinking about it. How old are you again? It's time to start thinking about legacy wealth. Come on. How long are you going to punch that clock? What are you going to leave for your kids as your legacy? What are you going to do to get out of the rut? What are you going to do to get out of the rat race? I'm trying to help you think outside the box, ladies and gentlemen. You should be thinking ownership, and you should be thinking beyond just owning a house. You should be thinking about income producing property. And that's where we're going on this show. That's my goal. We're going to help, how many people do we say? We're going to help 100 people. Is that what we said? We're going to help 100 people own an income producing property inside of the next year just as a result of this show. We're going to help 100 listeners own a piece of income producing property in the next year. Are you going to be one of them? Are you willing to be one of them? Are you willing to take a chance? Do you want to reach out there? Do you want to be one of my experiments? I believe, and I'm going to promise this to Speedy. Speedy, I'm going to take 100 people and I'm going to make them income property producers, income property owners inside of the next year. If you want to be one of them, I want you to reach out to us. I want you to go to followDaronCampbell.com. I want you to raise your hand. I want you to say, hey, pick me, because I'm going to help some people grow. And the only way to do it is to just take some people under my wing and make it happen. Now, I know some people who've been sticking with me since day one, and I definitely got to help them do it. And then how many of you want to do it? How many new people who just met Daron Campbell want to own income producing property? We can help you. We can help you do it. That's what we're going to do. Speedy gave me the show, and I'm here to help. I'm here to give back. That's going to be my give back. So that's the plan. I hope you like the plan, because that's where I'm taking this thing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. And if I don't help you do it, who will? You need a mentor. You know it. You need a mentor. You know, people can talk to you forever. You can read a book, and I suggest you do. But sometimes you just need a mentor. Sometimes you need somebody to say, hey, come on, friend. Let me show you how I did it. Let me show you how these other people I helped did it. And follow that roadmap. And maybe we could take a little bit of the fear out of ownership. See, I think we have a fear. Sometimes we have a fear of success. Sometimes we think success is always for the next guy and not for us. Well, I want to dispel that myth, and I want to let you know that success is for you. And if you decide to, you can make it happen. That's my plan. That's what I want to help you do. That's why I'm here inside the Rollout Show Studios. That's why I'm doing the Road to $1 Million show. That's why I'm publishing this book that I'm going to give you for free. That's because we're going to grow together. You like that idea? I love that idea. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Road to $1 Million. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. I am your real estate mentor, and I'm going to see all of you at the top. Everybody, make it a great day. Peace.